What's going on, guys? This is your host, Sunny from the podcast It's Always Sunny in the Six. I hope you guys are having a great morning, a great Thursday. Got you guys another fantastic episode for you guys with a good friend of mine, Jazz, also goes by her stage name, Jazé. She's actually an up-and-coming multidisciplinary artist, a musician. She's an activist. She's an advocate for mental health. The list goes on. Her music is something that kind of I wanted to showcase on this podcast. She's still working on her project. I've had the privilege of hearing her sing, and I can tell you guys, she is absolutely amazing. So this podcast, we talk about her personal growth. We talk about how music is a form of healing for her, and why she got into music to begin with. We also dive right into a number of personal growth topics, things that you may relate with, things that you may disagree with. Either way, you guys are tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As always, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, share the podcast if you enjoyed it, send some feedback, and have a great weekend. Let's go.
All alone with me, and we're waiting for the sunlight, for the sunlight.
But yeah, so it's a Friday night. How was traffic getting into the city?
Traffic was a bit heavy today. I'm surprised because I was like, isn't Toronto going into like red zone? Did you see like the tiers that are being released now?
Right. What are the tiers? Like the red zones and the color codes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I saw that and it was first Brampton.
Yeah.
And then Toronto now, but like I just got back.
Mm-hmm.
I just met up with a few ex-coworkers who went to a park.
Yeah.
Smoked a J, had a couple of beverages, and kept our distance, of course.
Yeah.
But as we were walking down Jarvis, we noticed that the Hot House restaurant across St. Lawrence Market,
Yeah.
they have these massive tents outside.
Mm-hmm.
So like people are allowed to dine there now.
Oh, okay.
So it's interesting. There was a meme circulating this week where it's like you can't dine inside, but you can dine inside if it's outside.
I saw that.
So I'm walking around, and me and Rio and Dayan were like, "What the fuck?" Like, it's like
Yeah.
you wouldn't think right now on Friday, November 13th, that we're in red zone. That's how many people there were like out there and sitting, out there dining, right? So
Yeah. They were saying, like November 16th, 12:01, everything's gonna go into red zone restrictions, and I was like, I don't even know what red zone restrictions are yet.
yeah, I was like, what the hell? This is supposed to be getting better, not worse. And now I think the projections, like 2 days ago, they were saying like 3,000 to 6,000 cases a day.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's a correlation because like there's more testing, but like,
Yeah.
these are scary numbers. So there's probably going to be no Christmas.
No Christmas. I'm sure they're doing this in time for Diwali too. They know that all the Indian folks are gonna come and get together.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think Patrick Brown, like the whole city of Brampton, probably had knew ahead of time. But this is a provincial mandate. Actually, never mind.
Yeah.
It was Doug Ford, but like yeah, they time everything. Like Christmas is going to be a big challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the most festive, not just religious holidays, but cultural holidays in this part of the world. Like it's going to be crickets.
Yeah. Christmas, New Year's, Diwali. I don't know what else comes, but all of those.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting times. But anyways, how like on that note, 2020, we're what? It's November, 2 months away from, well, a month and a half away from 2021.
I know.
How you been? How you doing?
Oh man.
How's it been since the last time we met? Which I'm going to pretend like we didn't meet the last time. I'm going to pretend like we met. It was a protest, right?
Yeah. Protest. That was summer.
That was in the summer, so it's been a while.
Yeah. I feel like this year just kind of flew by.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely just like how, for majority of the people, even for myself, I would say 2019 and 2020 were probably my most challenging years.
Right. Really?
Yeah. I know everybody's been kind of saying 2020 has been, but for me, I guess 2019 and 2020 felt like they kind of just mashed together.
Like the 2 year being in one extended period, right?
Yeah.
What happened? Like, what do you mean? Like, what happened? What's going on? If you want to talk about it, that is. But do you feel like 2020 now? Because I've seen you now, and I see the things that and we'll get into like the whole music and the vocals and whatnot. But you seem like you're at a place where you're kind of confident and you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't really at that place like maybe a few months ago. Not even a few months ago, but early. I guess last year. Not even early. Yeah, last year I wasn't at that place.
Right.
But yeah, I guess 2019 and 2020 have been the most challenging times for my mental health. 'Cause just over the years, it's been a lot of different transitions that happened for me, a lot of different challenges I guess I had to face and go through that I didn't think I would get through, but I did.
Right.
Yeah.
Kudos to you. Like, we are, you're here today. And I think that, it's great that we are able to talk about this, and whether it's through a platform or whether it's just through a simple conversation. Then,
Yeah.
mental health is such an important thing that we often ignore. And everyone, I don't care who you are, how old you are, everyone's been through some sort of, discomfort in their lives that's had a mental toll of them, whether it's behaviorally, emotionally, psychologically, and whatnot. And it's those moments, though, you feel like those moments that kind of mumble together, and that's how you kind of become, the person you are today, which is a grown version of who you were, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But like it's not always like, and beyond that though, not just the struggles, but it takes like a lot of conviction to kind of go through that, and it takes time, right? Yeah.
And yeah, that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people are just not at a place where they're ready to recognize and admit that they might be dealing with something, or they don't even have like the skill set to realize that they might be dealing with something, right?
Right.
Because it's literally like every other person that is dealing with some type of mental health issue. I'm not saying a full-on illness, but to some extent on the spectrum.
Right.
Of, say, anxiety or depression, especially with the way this pandemic took over. It completely threw everybody into the unknown, right?
Right.
So I feel like anxiety was at the forefront for a lot of people. But for myself, I know that I've always dealt with depression, but I did get diagnosed with major depressive disorder in 2019. And that I guess it's weird. You get diagnosed with it,
Right.
And then in a way, it's kind of a relief where you're sitting in the office and they tell you what your diagnosis is. And you're like, yeah, I already knew it was depression, but is it really MDD? And you don't realize it was MDD until you kind of start to come out of it. And then you're like, wow, I was pretty fucked up.
Fuck.
Yeah.
What does that stand for again?
MDD, so major depressive disorder.
Okay. Yeah, that's like it's like a lot of people go through stuff, and it's great that you're able to talk about that and share that, right? Because we live with so many things that we kind of keep inside of us that we don't always have the opportunity to talk to others around us, right?
Yeah.
Me and you, like, for example, like, how did we meet? So I was actually at a Black Lives Matter protest, which feels like years ago, but it was really just this past June, right?
Yeah.
And I was there on my own, and then I remember I saw your Instagram story, and I was like, "Oh, Jazz, like, are you here?" And that's how we connected. You were there, like, on.
Yeah, I was here on my own too.
You're on your own too, right? Okay. I just assumed that you were with a group of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we came back at the next event, and I think that it's like, and then we started talking about like our own personal growth and our journeys, and I think it's a lot of people don't really have the courage to be able to talk about that. And so I commend you for the fact that even from when we first met and we had our conversations, you were pretty open about who we are as people, and I think that we share like an idea of like where we want to be tomorrow, right? And like when you started singing, dude, man, I'm like, this is a talent that, damn, like, what's going on? So let's talk about that. Like, you got into the music business, and as much as we started this podcast kind of on a note of like, heartache, and we're gonna get into that, because it's like on mental health, it's like music was the outcome, right? And not just some music, not some like all right music. I'm talking about like pretty good music, great,
I hope
amazing
it's actually
music.
that good.
And anyway, so when she started singing, I'm like, dude, this is really good. What's happening? So talk to me. Like, how'd you get into music? How old were you?
So I guess I've always kind of been in and out of music growing up as a kid.
Were you born with those with the singing ability, or is it just something that you developed? I've always wondered that.
I
Like,
mean,
you know how they talk about like prodigies, like,
Yeah.
oh, he was born a singer or she was born a singer.
Like in the early, like, I guess when I was like 9-10 years old, that's when I started singing just around my house, or singing for fun, singing at school. And then I guess my older cousins kind of noticed and heard me sing a few times, and they were like, oh shit, you're actually good. And I didn't really know that I was good or anything. I was just singing for fun.
Right.
And then from there on, they just kind of pushed me to actually really start pursuing it and like, I guess, supporting me and knowing that I'm actually good.
Right.
And then from there, it just started to grow. And I guess I've always been in like a creative person. I've always been into the arts as a kid. But my love for music kind of started with dancing as a kid.
Okay.
So I went from like dancing, singing, drawing, painting. It was just,
were you in like choir? Do you remember choir?
Yeah,
Like Christmas choir and.
I was. Throughout middle school, I always was in choir.
I was a kid with the gutti in the back row. That
Yeah.
was me pretty much.
You were in choir?
I was in choir.
Oh, no way. I didn't know
I
that.
felt like it was mandatory for some extent. But maybe you know what? Maybe I had the option of joining. But yeah, I was in choir for a couple of years. Believe it or
Okay.
not. Yeah.
That's where you got your little... I told you before, I'm like, I feel like Sunny is a low-key singer.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
You got the voice for
give
it.
me a couple beverages and maybe we can try it out. But yeah, no.
But you're a low-key rapper. I mean, not everybody knows that.
Well, same thing after midnight. I mean, that's the thing. Like rapping, whether so people that don't know that, and my friends out there probably like, nah, don't get Sunny started. But rapping is something that I do for fun, like just freestyle. I don't write. Give me a couple of drinks or a J and bust a couple of bars, right?
No,
Like,
you're
I
actually
think-
good, though. You're actually good.
but it's a creative outlet, and I find it as a great form of expression. I've kind of always been growing up into poetry and all that stuff at a very like grade 7, grade 8. I had like a poetry book actually. Remember when we started learning haikus,
Oh, yeah.
similes and all that, right? So that's kind of been with. So when you talk about it being a creative outlet, I get that. So like music, so how do you describe it? Like what is it to you?
I think music for me was a form of therapy.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really see it as a creative outlet until like maybe now.
Right.
But in the beginning, it was more like while I was going through everything that I was going through, I kind of shut myself out and I stopped listening to like other music or other influences,
Okay.
any type of creative influences. And I mean, when you're in MDD or major depressive disorder state, you're
Yeah.
not really at that state of mind to even want to do anything like that, right?
Right.
So I guess when I was kind of coming out of it, that's when I started to really just throw myself back into the music or just connect myself and use it as a grounding technique. I think that's how I really started, as a grounding technique.
Right.
Because for me, instruments were a form of grounding. I know, I just felt this, I've always felt this connection with myself and just being able to create my own melodies on instruments, even if I don't know how to play, where it's like I had trained my ear for pitches. So
What did you play remember when you had to pick like strings and brass? What were you?
I play the upright bass.
Okay.
It's like the big...
Was it the tuba?
No, it was in strings, but
Okay.
the bigger cello-looking thing.
Like the massive cello.
That massive cello-looking thing.
Interesting. So you took
called
strings.
the
Yeah,
bass,
I did.
yeah.
I was brass. I did like trumpet. Then
Okay.
I evolved into trombone.
Yeah.
I feel like a Pokemon. Then I evolved into tuba. Literally, that's what happened. Trumpet, trombone, and then tuba.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that like everyone got that exposure to music at a young age.
Yeah.
Is that when you is that when you had a realization that like what you were talking about right now with instruments?
Yeah.
How was that like during school?
Yeah, I think maybe that's kind of where it started. And I know at home, my dad always had the harmonium at home. And I mean, I never really got into like this religious side of Sakia as a young kid.
Right.
But then as I started to grow up, I kind of started getting into like the shabads and stuff on, I don't know how you translate the hymns
Yeah.
of Sikhism. Growing up, and I kind of just started doing it for myself and kind of finding my own connection spiritually through
Right.
that. But even that, it was like music that kind of brought me there.
Right.
So yeah, it was just like instruments were just something that I used to ground myself.
Right. And I think that's a great way to put it, like grounding yourself. I think music is also like a form of energy, right? Like whether it's through like the spirituality element of it, when, like for example, of course, like when you're reading like, like the holy book and, and hymns and whatnot, you get that extra connection, whether it's inside your head and, like you're in a very meditative state. But like, I think it's important like, to kind of channel yourself and for me, like music has been, for those of you guys who really know me, I love music. Like that's kind of my I spend maybe an hour, I don't know how much to spend a day while I'm working too, like to listen to different playlists. And for me, like I think I can better express my mood through music than I can even with my own words, right? So, you know, I sometimes in Toronto, like during this pandemic especially, I'll go for a walk.
Yeah.
And I'll just go through I'll go through like a whole playlist, or like half a playlist.
I know. I feel like everybody that follows you on social media knows music's a huge part of your life.
Yeah, so I totally get that. I get that. And so when did you, so talk to me about like how you kind of figured out that, you know, channeled your music to what direction, which is singing and the way you sing?
I guess that started when my cousin started to like push me forward. And my friends.
So this was what, 9 years old or?
Yeah, around like 9, 10. And then I started to really take it seriously in like high school. And then I started, I guess that was my form of discipline.
Okay.
I put myself into vocal lessons. I started training with Kiefer Farrell, and he's Deborah Cox's vocal coach from when she was younger.
Okay.
I think Deborah Cox is a Canadian artist, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a computer right here. I can check. But,
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
So I got in touch with him, and then he was my coach for...
She's Canadian, by the way.
Yeah. So I guess I got in touch with him, and he was my coach for like a good few years, and he kind of became like my second father almost, where now I like consistently every Friday after school from grade 9 to grade 11, every Friday I was like I'm taking the bus to, I guess, Uptown, Forest Hill area.
Yeah.
And being committed to just spending 1 to 2 hours with him, just training. And yeah, I guess that really kept me out of trouble throughout high school. And kept my mind focused.
And discipline, right? Like, and not distracted, like focused on something, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, like when you did those classes, how, like, what are some like, are the exercises? Do you sing? Like, how is the agenda in a typical
class?
Vocal training class. I'm pretty curious. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually really cool, like doing classes with him, because he was working, I guess at that age, he was working with other artists that were trying to be established or already were established.
Right.
So sometimes when I'd be coming in and out of my classes, I'd come in at the end of somebody else's session, and then later I'd find out, oh, this person was working with like DJ Jazzy Jeff, or like it's an artist under his label or something.
Right.
Or I don't even know if he has the label, but artists that were working with him, or artists that were groups that were like women groups that were forming their own.
The groups,
yeah, things like that. So it was really cool growing up seeing that, because it just made me want to like strive to be at their level even more.
Yeah. And you use that as fuel to kind of fuel you and inspire you that if they can do it, you know, I can do it. I think, you know, I thought about this often, is like, we think that when we see other people succeed at that level of fame and money and whatnot, we kind of think that, well, it's an anomaly.
Yeah.
And we say, well, my life can never be like that.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I saw a meme a couple of days ago, like The Weeknd, 10 years ago, The Weeknd was literally from Scarborough, trying to make a name.
Yeah.
You know, now he's headlining the Super Bowl at halftime, right? So
it's huge for his career.
It's massive. And I think going back to that, whether you're singing, whether you're doing something else, anything that you're trying to put your mind to, it's a process. Just stay committed.
Yeah.
And stay focused, right? Like, I think that we can get disheartened because we're humans, right?
Yeah.
It can take, you know, one statement, a criticism, or, you know, or just a couple of jabs here and there, or whatever it is, just to feel defeated, right?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I've learned for myself is it's important to drive the momentum of your own dreams and your own passion forward. Right. You really have to believe in yourself the hardest and clap for yourself the loudest to believe that you can achieve anything that you want. Right. It's about you got to roll up your sleeves and figure out, how do I get from point A to point B?
Right. I
don't care who's going to jump on my train and be there with me. It's the fact that I'm focused and I'm going to get to that point B. Absolutely. With or without whoever is going to be along the way.
You know, one of the biggest laws of modern societal governance is when you drive on the road, you focus on the road, right? Mm-hmm. If you're someone that's driving your car and all you're doing is looking around you the entire time, you're bound to crash that car. right? So it's a common law. You drive straight, you go straight, you get to your destination. And I think that's a good metaphor to use in life, where if we're constantly distracted by what's happening around us and saying, well, so-and-so sings better than me, so-and-so does a better podcast, so-and-so has more listeners, you get so focused on what's happening around you, because these are things you can't control.
Yeah.
But what you want to do is, well, focus on your road and your path, and realize that just because everyone else got there sooner than you doesn't mean that you're not going to get there.
Yeah. And it goes back to like the purpose. What's your purpose of doing it?
Yeah.
Your purpose is not the same as the next person's purpose. And yeah, it's like comparison is the thief of joy, right? That's what they say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's true. So it's like, for me, it's like, I don't care about, like, I'm not doing this for the money, the fame, or all of that. To me, I feel like whatever I've done, whatever the music I'm working on, I believe in it hard. And it's a project that I would like to, it's a creative vision that I'd like to execute.
Right.
And to me, it's just about executing that vision. And everything else is just stuff that comes along with the territory. But that's not stuff that's a make or break for me.
Right. I like that. Like, I think that's, I see the creative direction that you want to head to with your music as well, and the vision you have. And of course, that project is still a work in progress, so we won't get too much into it. But I can't wait for it. I think it's important to kind of extend that vision and just try to see, like, because like we were talking about before, is you don't want to get distracted by other people's ideas. You want to focus on what it is that you want to put out there and deliver. Like I sometimes struggle with this idea, and I'm like, I enjoy podcasting and the way I branded so much that I'm like, I like, I'm like, damn, first of all, how can I monetize from this? But I like it. Like, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you have to make your money too, right?
Yeah.
One way or another.
No, for sure. I hear you. For everybody out there, anybody, I haven't really looked into it yet, to be honest. this is more of a passion hobby, but I realize now the amount of listeners that are tuning in.
Yeah.
Everyone's probably like, what an idiot. Why isn't he monetizing? But I will.
We need to get White Claw to sponsor you, because I feel like you're always promoting White Claw.
I know. Today we're sipping on a little bit of red wine. Had some wine left over. So how is it?
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
On that note, so I got a question for you. Just thought of this. So, I walk into a party, or someone walks into a party, anybody, our listener, and they meet a person, and this person is the definition of your music, how you describe your music. How would you describe this person?
So how would I describe somebody? So this is a person.
Like, if your music was a person, how would you describe him or her?
Ooh,
Well,
okay.
her, yeah.
I got to think about this.
It's a pretty deep question, right?
It's a good question.
I thought about that. I'm like, oftentimes we have these passions.
Yeah.
And we try to describe, like, how a certain project or art or chapter of our life is in a very subjective form.
Yeah.
But if you put it into a person and you start characterizing it, you start to think differently.
Yeah.
Like, what financial success means to you. If you could describe a person, how would it look? Not just in terms of the physical attributes, but like, how is a person's personality? Like, for example, your music, is it soft? Is it gentle?
Yeah. So in terms of thinking about just the music, I would describe it as somebody who lives outside of the bounds, who's I guess gentle, but fierce, maybe strong. Gentle, fierce, strong. And maybe somebody who kind of, I mean, when I picture it, maybe I see it as sometimes, those like graceful figures just like floating.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of see it. But then it's like a graceful figure
Would
floating
you
that can
be
take
underwater
any form.
or above land?
I would say underwater.
Underwater? Okay.
A lot of sometimes, like, if I'm envisioning, like, some of the songs turning into music videos, I'd be like, oh, it'd be cool if water was an element
Yeah.
in the music video.
I think there's, like, when it comes to music, like, you have music that's an art of its own, but when you integrate, like, a creative element or output or visual that's literally, like, batting it out the park, it creates an entirely different audience.
Yeah.
Because you might like someone, there might be, and I see it often with the music I listen to, like, remember Flatbush Zombies Afterlife, where they're like in a skeleton? Have you seen it? I'll show it to you after.
Yeah.
It's like an X-ray version of them just walking through a park or something, right?
Okay.
But like, you could not like the music, which I initially didn't. I didn't like the song when I heard it on Spotify.
Yeah.
But when I saw the visuals, I love the visuals and I kept playing the song. And over time, I actually dig the song, right?
Yeah.
So that's why like I think with a lot of musicians, they need to also understand that you also got to be creative on that visual side of things.
Yeah.
And you got to look at when you listen to your music, you got to have the physical understanding of how is your music looking like, right? Like,
Because I think from the visuals, a lot of people will get will understand the story that you're painting through the visuals.
Right.
And in the beginning, I was like, oh, maybe the visuals aren't going to be that important. And my friend Aman, he was like, I asked him, I was like, so how important do you think visuals are? And he goes,
wait, I'm an AK? Shout out to AK.
Shout out to AK. And he's really kind of been helping me, like guiding me into getting back into things, which I'm really grateful for. And I guess it's kind of, I don't know, it's just strange how the world works, but I guess people have, the world, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, I feel like it's just been placing the right people in my life at right moments that are there to uplift me when I need it,
Right.
And when I need to be pushed. So like I was going back to what I was saying, I was having a conversation with him about how important visuals are. And he was like, I feel like nowadays I don't think music can exist without the visuals.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, in my world, I was like, oh, like I'm completely okay with not seeing visuals for songs, but I guess maybe like the way I experience music is completely different. But overall, the mass population prefers to see the visuals.
Yeah, I think that's right. Like bang on. Like you can't. It's rare to see a music like a song. Like you might not see a video for every song on an album.
Yeah.
At least 2 or 3. Unless you're Drake, then you'll see one for every song. But like I think that it's an important element because it's like I don't think a lot of albums do well statistically.
Yeah.
Without any sort of visual element in today's day and age.
Yeah.
Especially when you have like social media, like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. People want to be reeled in by some sort of visual to take in the song.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I also think it gives an advantage for you as a singer too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like once you have the visual in your head, you're more in character and your music comes out better because you're in that role. Right?
Yeah, but my now that I'm envisioning visuals, I was like, how the hell is this gonna even come to life? Because I'm like, some of the stuff I'm thinking about, I'm like, well, this is a little bit crazy. I don't know how I'm gonna make it happen. But
do you want to talk about it or no? Is it?
I mean, you know what? I won't.
By
talk
the way,
about
guys,
it. What if I don't make it happen?
for anybody tuning in, I personally have smoked a J and had a deep space, so I'm pretty good. That's why I'm getting all creative and thinking outside the box. So don't mind me.
That's why he's coming up with all these good questions.
But yeah, go. So sorry, before I interrupted.
No, I forgot what I was saying. I don't even know what I was saying.
What were we talking about? Okay, we'll get back to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think this topic of music is really important because like I can spend an entire hour with you talking about music. And I think one of the things I often think about when I listen to music is I love listening to music because it's my therapy too.
Yeah.
Like I like listening to alternative hip hop, which is more like chill music, chill hip hop with like more meaningful lyrics. And then sometimes I'll go into trap mode where I listen to like 42 Dog. Like I'm pretty well rounded when it comes to music. I think I'll listen to everything except country. I think.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, yeah, you are pretty well rounded, I would say.
Yeah, like
You've sent me some good songs where I'm like, oh, I've discovered some really good artists through you.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like that's what I do usually. I think this pandemic's been a little bit more me sitting on the couch and going through music than before. But like either way, like it's always been a part of my life.
Yeah.
Have you noticed in your life like what kind of genre of music have you listened to over your years?
Man.
Like from your teenage years to your university years to...
I've gone through phases. I feel like, I don't know why, but I went through a phase of Nickelback. But
I did
again,
too.
I feel like
Spider-Man, when
has.
Spider-Man came out, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I went through a phase of Nickelback. I went through a phase earlier than that, Jesse McCartney. I guess every little girl listened to Jesse McCartney. And then, yeah, I guess, and then it started to transition into hip hop, R&B, and then maybe pop for a little bit, EDM, and then back to pop, R&B. And now I feel like I listen to everything basically.
Right.
Except for K-pop. I mean, I listen to country a little bit, but I don't listen to K-pop.
I actually don't even know what K-pop is. Is that embarrassing? Or
I mean,
I see it always
still
trending.
Can't really define it either. So.
Yeah, I don't. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna listen to it after for sure.
Yeah, it's just Korean pop, right?
Oh shit!
I think so.
I'm such an
Is
idiot.
that
I was wondering
K-pop?
what the K stand for.
I think so.
That's how out of tune I am with K-pop. But yeah, like I think music, like I think anybody, even our listeners right now, like
Yeah.
ask yourself, like, you know, what are the type of music you listen to over the years? Like I started, I don't know if you remember when we were young, grade 3, Backstreet Boys.
Oh yeah.
Everybody was the track. This was like I think 1992, 93.
Yeah.
Um, that was like the era of NSYNC, Backstreet Boys,
Yeah.
the Hansons. Remember the Hansons?
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Spice Girls, S Club 7, and then it got into like, you know, G Unit, Dipset, 50
Yeah.
Cent, and up until 2008, if you think about it, like it was the whole Pharrell kind of
Yeah.
era, and then of course Drake came along in 2008.
Yeah. Oh yeah. How did I forget Drake?
Let's talk about our city. Like I think that, you know, this city, Toronto, breeds a lot of talent.
It does.
You know, we see a lot. You know, I haven't coined this, but I've heard that we're known as Screwface Capital because
Yeah.
we don't always tend to support each other. But
Yeah.
how do you feel? Like, how was your relationships been in the music industry?
You know what? I thought it was hard in Toronto in the beginning too. And as I got older and I really started to dive into it,
Right.
or come back into it in a different light, Toronto's not bad. I feel like Toronto actually has a lot of support. For example, R&B Radar, which is run by Tommy Banks, and Drew Smoothly, I think, right? Andrew is his full name.
I don't know.
Andrew Drew Smoothly, and I might be saying his name wrong. We're just gonna go with Andrew.
Let's just stick with the first name.
Andrew, I think helps Tommy Banks run R&B Radar, but
Okay.
I started to like kind of tune into their lives a little bit,
Right.
and see what they do for the community. And Tommy Banks, now he's kind of created like a membership thing with R&B Radar, but in the beginning he was giving away a lot of free advice, and he was always on the lookout for artists that were up and coming. And I remember just like hopping into the lives and just asking questions, and he would always be responsive. And then, you know, then he started following along on my journey, and now I know, okay, like he's supportive, he cares,
Right.
and he's interested, and he's following along on the journey, where it's like, okay, if I ever have a question about the industry or anything, I know that he's open and receptive, and I can like ask for help.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and things like that. So I guess other people in the industry as well, that through Amin, that he's introduced me to producers like XD, Sean and Deed. So those guys, like they've really helped me see my sound outside of the vision that I was seeing, and they're really helping to push me to see my sound in a different place.
Right.
And even producers that I worked with growing up, Polly, his name is Polly. So me and Polly go way back. Like we were, I guess, just two young kids trying to make it in the beginning.
Yeah.
But even him now, it's like all of these guys are all intertwined, right? They all
Right.
support each other.
Right.
So it's great to come into it now as an older, more well-rounded artist.
Yeah, like it's like you're making your dreams and aspirations now into reality,
Yeah.
right? And it's gonna take a lot of grunt work,
Yeah.
a lot of rolling up your sleeves, being patient with yourself, going through the ups and downs. Like, how has that journey been for you? Like, when did you? So you started singing, you took classes. When did you decide to go like serious? Because you took a little bit of a hiatus, right,
Yeah.
from music, right?
Yeah.
How come you took a break from music?
I think I took a break from music because I put education on the front line.
Okay.
I was in school at the time. I was taking.
Where'd you
education.
go to school?
I went to school for theater and film studies. So still.
Oh, nice,
like,
nice.
Maybe a little bit in the music, but more like stage work
Right. That's cool. Like, where was that?
at McMaster.
Okay, McMaster.
Yeah.
Nice, dope.
Sorry, I had to burp.
It's all good. How's your wine, by the way? It's not bad, right?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's all right. Cabernet, Jackson Triggs.
I usually like more full-bodied ones. This one's not that full-bodied, right?
No.
This is like it's very light. Yeah.
It is a bit light, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like going back to what were we talking about right now? We were like support, right? Like in the community. I think like it's like now that so many celebrities. If you think about it from like the musical giants out there in the industry, at like the highest level, three of 3 of the top 10 are from Canada.
Yeah.
Drake, Weeknd, Justin Bieber, Party
Yeah.
Next Door. Who else? Tory Lanez.
Tory Lanez, yeah.
Right. And it's now like before, when we talked about Toronto and music when I was growing up and when you were growing up, it was more like Cardinal Official.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there was no respect to Toronto. There was no like Toronto music. Fuck that. So it was more like
Yeah.
local, like John Gonja's.
It was Julie Black as well. Do you remember Julie Black?
Yeah, I remember Julie Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few though, like and like there was this neighborhood rap and whatnot, right? But like Cardinal was the first one to put Toronto on the map
Yeah.
with the T.O song.
Yeah.
But then when Drake came, and then The Weeknd, and then Party Next Door, and then the list keeps going.
That's when
Bryson
Toronto
Tiller.
really got put
Bryson
on the
Tiller's from here, right?
Is he?
Is he?
I'm not sure.
I gotta check this. Jesse Reyes.
Oh, yeah, Jesse Reyes. is
Sorry, no,
Toronto.
Bryson Tiller's not from here. I was
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
Daniel Caesar.
Oh, okay.
He's from here,
Daniel
but, like,
Caesar's Canadian?
Yeah, he's from
I didn't know
Ajax.
that. Oh, okay.
He's from Ajax.
Yeah.
Kind of weird, right? It's so yeah, like having paved the path, I think that Toronto now is home to so many people trying to make it.
Yeah.
What do you feel like in your life that you need to, what's important to you that you believe today that's going to make you stand out?
Oh, man. If I think about it like
And
that.
not just for you, but like advice to anybody that might doubt themselves and feel like, okay, there's too much competition out there.
Yeah.
There's the pool, there's too many people in the pool for me to even try. What's your advice to them?
My advice, I guess that doubt is normal. It's a normal way of thinking.
Right.
But my advice would kind of just to be, it's like you really have to go for it and drown out the noise.
Okay.
Because everything else, if you have a dream, not even a dream, if you have a vision and a goal that you want to pursue, and you believe in it, then at the end of the day, it's always going to be different because it's coming from you. There's no you. There's not another you out there. It's not going to be executed the same way. It's not going to be the emotion, the feeling, the ambiance, the tone. Nothing's going to be the same as another artist. So
Right.
don't let the fact of, it's oversaturated hold you back, because like almost every industry is oversaturated now, right? It's just a matter of how much do you believe in it and how much does it matter to you for you to actually want to go for it.
Right. I think you're right. I think that's right. Like, I think that, if you think about this, like, on this planet, there's about 7.5 billion people. No two people are the same.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone is different.
Yeah.
In features, physical attributes, and the way we think. You'll never find another Sonny Benny out there.
Yeah.
Just like you won't find another you, right?
Yeah.
But in the same way, if you look at music like that, it's a form of expression. As long as you're authentic,
Yeah.
no one will mimic that.
Yeah.
If you're someone that's not authentic and you're putting out music that is maybe authentic music, but you're not expressing it in the truly authentic form,
Yeah.
it might sound like a bite off of, I don't know, like Nelly or Destiny's Child or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
if it's coming from you and it's your true vision, it doesn't matter. You're gonna stand out regardless, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something. I lost my train of thought. I'll come back to it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I totally commend that. I think that's why like there's a huge visual component to it. So
Yeah.
do you want to talk about your project, or is that something still on?
No, we can talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Just
Yeah.
want to make sure.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts along your project, and what can people expect?
Well, I mean, okay, I wouldn't.
Have you thought through it yet, or yeah?
What they can expect is, I guess, the music will kind of be a representation of maybe bits and pieces of my story a little bit.
Okay.
Integrated into that. I guess it's like me kind of putting out my therapy out there, I guess, exposing my own therapy sessions maybe, because
Right.
it's a therapeutic session for me, writing music or being involved in music. And I feel like they're going to get to know me as who I am today. I don't have a deadline set for the music. I kind of have a time frame of like maybe when I want it done by, but then again, after working with all the people I'm working with, they keep reminding me great music takes time.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I gotta be patient.
I can't wait, because like what I heard
Yeah.
which is a very unreleased version of a song. I'm like, damn, we got to release this summer.
Yeah, right?
But
I mean,
I get that. Like, I think you need to take your time, and you want to be able to, you want to appreciate your own music first before
Yeah.
you let anybody else appreciate it.
yeah, I think the
Right.
biggest thing for me is if I'm not happy with it, it doesn't matter if I did, like, say the whole thing's done and I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not happy with it, it's not coming out. Like,
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I totally get that. I think that's where, like, that's where this is supposed to be your, like, this is your art, your music, your journey. You know, I had a couple of podcast episodes ago where we talked about this, where, you know, one of the biggest things that I remind myself is you gotta always continuously move in life as like the most authentic version of you.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where, even when it comes to pursuing your hobbies, ask yourself, is this something I truly enjoy? Because life is too short to not do something that you don't really enjoy, right?
Yeah.
We get so caught up, like I'm looking back at life and I'm like, damn, whoever's listening, like life is flying. What can we do to enjoy it and be more present, right? And I think music for me and for yourself has kind of been that harness.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
For myself, I know that after going through everything that I went through, I think that's when I really had the awakening of being like, I'm just going to go for it, because, you know, I got to a point of being like to a point of where I guess being at a point of dancing between, not being here in this world and kind of maybe possibly losing my life at one point. I guess being brought close to that point really made me be like, what am I waiting for?
Right.
Life really is short.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hit you until it doesn't hit you sometimes until sometimes like you got to be put in a situation like that for it to hit you.
Yeah.
And that's something that after going through situations like that, my whole mindset changed on everything. Where it was just like I kind of stripped away. I guess I kind of just stripped away all the expectations of everything. I stripped away all the physical accolades attached to everything, and it was like, okay, if all that's gone, what do I want to do? What is something that like I don't want to regret that I never did? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I don't want to have any regrets for if I'm ever not here.
Yeah.
So.
No, I totally get that. And, you know, like it's, first of all, thanks for like, you know, even sharing that, like, what's your message out there to people? Like, what made you feel like this idea of life, right? Like I have that poster right up there from Train Spotting as a reminder too. That's something that I've learned as well, like through my own journey. You know, I've been through my own darkness and path as well. To everyone, it's like their own experience.
Yeah.
And it's what makes them, it's an epiphany that you have. Like, how do I want to live my life? What does it mean to, how do I want to go from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? And what's important to me today?
Yeah.
Right. I think that's where I like the part where you said you have to shed any physical accolades.
Yeah.
Because it's how you feel.
Yeah.
Right. It's not what you make. It's not how much you spend.
Yeah.
But it's how you feel.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't ask ourselves that most important question. How am I?
What was your like aha moment?
I feel like every time I smoke weed, I have an aha moment. But jokes aside, on a serious note, I think aha moment there wasn't a single aha moment.
Yeah.
It was a series of aha moments. And I wouldn't say aha and I wouldn't say rock bottom. It was a series of moments in my life where, and I feel like everyone can kind of relate to this, where you kind of, you know, you keep running, you hit a wall, you fall, you keep running, you hit a wall, you fall. But you start getting up slower and slower every time you hit the wall.
Yeah.
Right? You still get up.
Yeah.
And I think it came to a level where I was like, well, what is it, you know, like my epiphany wasn't just a single moment. It was just like, what do I want out of life?
Yeah.
And when I stopped thinking about the people around me and started more so thinking about like, how do I want to live my life? What makes me happy?
Yeah.
We sometimes forget that. And I think that's kind of what I've been navigating day to day. What makes me happy? Who are the people in my life that make me happy? And living a long and healthy life.
Yeah.
You know, I think if there's anything this pandemic has taught us is that, you know, you have an opportunity to do everything you can to build your body, just like you got to build your mind.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's your mind, body, and spirit that's going to carry you through everything that you're going to stay here to enjoy, right? If that's all missing and that's not all aligned, then you got to tighten up some screws, right?
Yeah, yeah. How would you answer that question?
Like, what was my aha moment?
Yeah, yeah. Was it that moment that you talked about before, or?
I guess, yeah, that was the biggest moment for me,
Right.
being that close, being in that scenario.
Yeah. Is your, like, when it comes to now talking about your music, is there music, like, how's the tone? How do you feel like you express yourself through your music today?
I think I push the boundaries. I try to do, when I make my music, it's very free form. I don't really try to follow I don't try to put myself in any boundary. And that's just to like bring out the authenticity of what I'm trying to deliver.
Right.
Because it's like, your creative expression can't be like, okay, I'm trying to copy the same style of Beyonce's lyrics or whatever. It's like, no, this is me. And the only way my sound, and I guess what kind of also helped me bring my sound together is the fact I went through this long period of shutting out listening to anything or watching anything, not having any influences influence me.
Right.
That really helped me just to hone in and just pour out everything that I was feeling.
Yeah.
Like, whether it be instrumentally or vocally.
I think that's great advice. So, like, and a great perception, because same applies to business. Like, I had a business idea, an endeavor I was thinking about, and oftentimes we Google, and like, oh, it already exists, or so and so does it, or it's too much this.
Yeah.
You end up deflating your idea or that flame that's supposed to ignite your passion before you even actually execute it. And that's why I think it's really important to kind of silence out everything around you.
Yeah.
Focus on your craft, focus on your own willpower and ambition, and, to see how far you go.
Yeah.
How do you do that, though? It's easier said than done, I feel like. How do you describe to someone that struggles with silencing everything around them? What's worked for you, or?
What's worked for me? Sometimes I look back I was like, I mean, I'm still on that good wave, right? That high wave right now. I'm still pushing myself to be in that like great mindset.
Right.
But now looking back, I guess when I started initiating it, I was like, who the fuck are you? Like, you know what I mean? But I guess what helped me was really like being mindful of knowing who I want around me, right. Authentically seeing like what energies are genuinely like supportive of what I'm doing, and what energies actually help me feel good and bring out the best in me, whether it be family or friends, where it's like I kind of got to a point where I was like, I don't care if it's family or friends. I'm gonna draw if it's like holding me back in some certain way, I'm gonna draw the line. Yeah. Because life's too short, and I don't want to have resentment. Yeah.
I mean, energy is huge, right? Like it can take the smallest little unintentional thing said from someone negative that could change your whole momentum.
Yeah.
And shift your gears and whatever it is. And I think oftentimes, like, it's funny though, because I've done this, I've been a part of this in terms of my groups, but like banter is a big thing, and we troll and all that stuff. And, I think I'm at a point in my own life where I'm like, I'd rather have that positive energy and be like, okay, what are you doing better in your life that I can do too? But this positive reinforcement, if that makes any sense, right?
Yeah.
And health and fitness being a big proponent, like, working out, seeing others around me that are excelling in certain things. I'm like, oh, I need to do that better.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And even like for me, my mindset changed in terms of when you remove, like, I don't put people on pedestals anymore. It's more about like, I never did before, but like, sometimes we like unintentionally do that, right?
Yeah.
But then for me, it really just became like, at the end of the day, we're here on this planet for a short time.
Right.
We're going to make the best of it. And it's like, who's really there? Who's kind? It's like, I want to be as gentle as I can with people while still being a little bit I wouldn't call it selfish, but being gentle with people while still striving to do what I need to do for me.
Yeah.
But creating, I guess, this wall of not only positive energy, because then there's this whole concept of toxic positivity too, right? Where it's like you want to be surrounded by people that will acknowledge that there's the high and lows in life, but they'll also make space for all those lows as well, right?
Yeah. So like I'm thinking like Ned Flanders. from Simpsons, that would be toxic positivity, because
Yeah.
he's always jolly, he's always happy. That's a pretty good example if you think about it, right? Like Ned Flanders.
Yeah.
Whereas like, you know, like if you're being positive, like true positivity, you need to accept your lows. You got to understand that there's going to be days where you're feeling like shit.
Yeah.
You're going to have those low days.
Yeah. And that
Whereas,
doesn't make you weak at all.
Yeah.
That's a part of the human experience.
but I see that though, that toxic positivity, where like sometimes there's so much positivity out there that's like, you don't want to live in a world where then you start fantasizing that. And you fantasize that about so much
That you should be at this like constant
that-
state of happiness.
yeah, that you should be at a higher level of happiness,
Yeah.
that you forget to be present.
But that constant state of happiness doesn't exist.
It doesn't, yeah.
Because
Unless you do acid or mushrooms, but no, like facts.
those experiences can go either way too, right?
That's true. But no, it's true though. Like I think absolutely right. Like I think that we have this heightened sense of not being comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, we want to, as soon as we get comfortable, we think it's a red flag. Like shit, I need to get out of here. I need to take an Uber to the next step, right? And I think that's where like I check myself, and I think we're learning is that we need to be showing gratitude is probably the number one tools that you can do every day.
Yeah.
Because by showing gratitude of what you have, you truly appreciate
Yeah.
what you have, right?
Yeah. And I think I'm just so much more grateful today
Yeah.
of every little experience, like every like person that kind of walks in or out of my life, or it's just like,
Right.
I guess just after everything, sometimes I'm like, what did I do to just, cause sometimes I'm like just dumbfounded by like the amount of people that like have shifted in my life.
Right.
And that are just so supportive, and I haven't done anything or haven't given anything, but they're like, just willingly pouring into my cup.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I guess I'm just more present and more grateful for that.
Right.
And yeah, kind of going back to like those dark experiences, it really just makes you just more appreciative.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's where like you have a greater amount of appreciation for those things that before might have seemed like little things, because you were so worried about and fantasized about things that are not even that important to you. Right.
Yeah. But I think like a lot of that didn't exist in my world when I was going through whatever I was going through.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I meant that generally for anybody as well.
Yeah.
Like, oftentimes where like I think about it, I'm like, I'm actually pretty at peace with my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I want to take every step that I possibly can.
Yeah.
And enjoy every step without having to feel a certain level of anxious or anxiety
Right.
for no reason, right?
Yeah.
What's been your biggest learning lesson? Let's narrow it down. 2020, right? What's been your biggest learning lesson this year?
My biggest learning lesson in 2020. Let me think about this one properly a little bit. I would say my biggest learning lesson is that life is a fragile dance between life is a fragile dance amongst a bunch of flawed human beings, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel everything. It's okay to feel the highs at the highs. It's okay to feel the lows at the lows. And those situations are temporary. They're going to change. They're going to evolve just as people change and people evolve. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful process of life and learning to appreciate those moments. I
got to tweet that. That's like, I think that's a great way to sum it, is that life is literally about imperfections. We're all going to be flawed. There's we're perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where once you start appreciating and once you start looking at that from a grand scheme of things and truly understanding and living it day to day, it does wonders. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have like a morning routine or anything? Like, have you introduced, like, what are some things that, and I'm trying to allude more to like the spiritual side, meditation. Have you been doing that, exploring that, or how's that been like for you? Yeah, no, my morning routine has changed a lot. I feel like the biggest thing is I'm trying to do my best to not always reach for my phone in the morning.
and
Okay.
go onto social media. Well, I've turned off all my notifications on like social media apps.
Okay.
Because like I don't want to be
That's good step
in an
one.
anxious
I should
state
do
right
that.
when I wake up, right?
Yeah.
But my biggest thing has kind of just been waking up and just in my mind or just out loud saying like a few things that I'm grateful for, or even noticing just around me, like 5 things I can see in the morning, 5 things I can feel, 5 things I can see, 4 things I can feel, 3 things I can hear, and 2 things I can taste, or and 1 thing that I guess there's. It's a grounding
Yeah.
technique.
It's Jay Shetty, you know?
No, and he didn't implement it, but it's a grounding technique.
It's okay. So because I saw that Jay Shetty had a recent he did a recent Instagram live and he talked about that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he was talking.
He
about
mentioned the exact same steps, and that's if anybody's looking for a way to be present, I think that's one of the best ways, right?
Yeah. So grounding yourself in the morning, I guess.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to say.
How long do you spend? 10 minutes, 20 minutes? What's the opportune time for you?
So in the morning, I try to spend at least 10 to 15 minutes latest in bed, just kind of grounding myself.
Okay.
And then waking up, kind of, doing my stretches, your regular routine, you brushing your teeth and all that. But then just giving myself a moment of maybe journaling if there's something on my mind. Well, for me, dealing with PTSD, sometimes it's
Right.
rough. Sometimes nights are rough. Sometimes there's nightmares. Sometimes there's night sweats. Sometimes there's flashbacks. Sometimes there's breakdowns, right?
Right.
So I'm not always rested sometimes. And a lot of people don't know that. They won't.
Right.
When people say PTSD, you don't really know what living with PTSD is like until you actually live with somebody or like live through it yourself.
Right.
So for me, that's why grounding is so important. If I've had a rough night or I've had a rough flashback of something, then I need to ground myself, because feeling safe within my body, this is my home. This is where my mind and my spirit's living, and it has to feel safe.
Right. So is this something that like this art of grounding, is this something that you do every day, or do you see yourself, it's an everyday routine, right?
Yeah, it's some way incorporated. Like if not in my morning routine, through my day, there's some kind of grounding that I'll end up incorporating.
Yeah, I think that's so important. Like I meditate.
Yeah.
I know I've been kind of inconsistent. That's why I asked you every day.
Yeah. No, I meditate, but I'm not consistent either.
Yeah, I've been sleeping late, and so sleeping a little bit in. For me, I like meditating in the morning.
Yeah.
But so if I end up sleeping in, I don't have time. Before you know it, grab my coffee, and I have to be at a 9 o'clock meeting.
I feel like I meditate better at night. Like in the morning, sometimes I'm still tired.
I should try that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you have an entire days of thoughts to process when you meditate, versus when you meditate in the morning, you're kind of taking on what you're dreaming about.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like, and dreaming is a whole completely different ballpark. But I think sleep is really important. Like if you don't have a good night's rest, that impacts your entire day the following day, right?
For sure, yeah. It impacts anything you're going to do the next day.
Yeah. I actually, my dentist told me to do a sleep test.
Okay.
I've never done it. So apparently you have to go overnight, and they monitor you.
Yeah. Like for snoring, though?
So he's like, do you snore? And I'm like, how do I know I'm asleep, right?
Yeah.
So he looked at me like, that's a really, it's a good answer. I'm like, yeah. He's like, has anybody told you? I'm like, I thought about it, and I'm like, no, not really.
Yeah.
I asked Rupi as well, and like, not really. And I'm like, okay. He's like, well, your teeth show a little like chips, and it's like,
oh, maybe you're grinding.
I'm grinding. I'm like, what the hell's grinding?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you're grinding your teeth. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what does that even mean? So they're like, you're literally grinding in your sleep, but you don't notice.
Yeah.
And so now they're like, we'll give you a night guard.
Yeah.
You should get a sleep test done, get to see how you sleep. I'm like, that'd be pretty cool.
Cool. Okay. So you weren't disturbing Rupi
with
snoring.
Yeah, no. Dude, okay. I have this one friend of ours.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cab. And this is a story Samir told me, my buddy, that this guy gives them like a 10 minutes heads up.
Yeah.
When they're in a hotel, so they can go to sleep before he goes to sleep, because he snores so loud.
Wow. I hate like being next to or near people that snore like that.
Yeah, that's an issue. Would you like? I mean, if you were with someone that snores, how would you handle that? Like,
I mean, yeah, I've been in a situation where like somebody had a snoring problem like that, and it's just like you need to go get yourself a night guard or do something,
Yeah.
or we can't sleep in the same room. Yeah.
I had my aunt used to snore like crazy.
Yeah.
And I remember when I went to India, we used to share, like we had a big living room veranda, right? Mm-hmm. Man, I've never heard anything as loud as her. I was like, damn.
That's the true desi snoring
It's a
from the
true
bin.
jut from the pin snore. I'm like, it kept me up the entire night.
So didn't you move? Didn't you like go to another room, or you just like sucked it up?
I had to suck it up. I was too pussy to get up and go anywhere else. It's like in the manja, middle of nowhere, in the pen. But yeah, like I think, why did we start talking about this? Sleep? Oh, morning routine.
Yeah.
So I think like morning, this morning I woke up, last night I went boxing over at, with David Kim at a private location, and came back this morning. I wanted to go for a run. Yeah. I saw that there was a release radar update. Oh, okay. And so I like catching up with my music. And I figured, why don't I go for a run? Go to Riverside, Riverdale Park, and it might be my last time catching a sunset or sunrise before it starts snowing. So I ended up going, and trying to listen to music, came back. And I think that the morning run for me is a big game changer. Yeah. Because it's like, there's something about like adrenaline rush and coming back and starting your day. It's like a completely different caffeine boost, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of wanted to ask you, I don't really know, but has your fitness journey been something that you started as a way to transform your mental health? Like, I don't know if you've talked about it in the past. No, I haven't actually. Like, how did you, like... Wow. Because I know for a lot of people, their fitness journey ties in with their mental health. And you know what, like I wear my heart on my sleeve, so I'm okay to talk about this. I think it's important. I think for me, I used to be a really insecure person. I used to be like, I don't know what it was, just growing up in general, just wanted to have this certain level of physique. And I think certain level of insecurities in general kind of pushed me towards working out. Okay. And then generally it became more of an outlet as well. Yeah. It was more like a punishment almost. Like, I need to do this work. I have to do this work. Okay. Versus, I want to do this. I am enjoying this. I always looked at like, whether it's going to a spin class or whether it's going to, that it's like, well, I'm not in a good place or something, or I need to like, or whether it's work related, whether it's outside of work, that I need to work out. Yeah. But then eventually, I think over the course of, since I moved downtown and like, I got into, like you were mentioning earlier, I shaked off a lot of accolades and I just turned into the person I always was, which was a person just focused on what I want to do. Yeah. So like things like running, things like boxing, all these things that I do today, I enjoy them. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm like, am I enjoying what I'm doing? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like last week I went to Everest and they did it was like a park workout. Yeah. Got my fucking ass kicked. Yeah. At the end of the entire obstacle course, they ended it with a 3-kilometer run. And after all that. And I'm 500 meters in and I'm like cussing. I'm like, fuck this shit, man. Shout out to Mita. Mita told me to just sign up. I'm like, fuck, man, why did I sign up for this? Oh, sorry, JB. Yeah. But then when I was finished and I finished everything, I felt so good. Yeah. And I think that's what fitness is for me. It's like, it centers me. Yeah. It grounds me. I think I need to, the way I perceive physical fitness, I have a long way to go when it goes to my mental fitness too. Because I feel like I could meditate more, I could journal more, I could do more of those things to kind of ground myself mentally. But I always end up finding an excuse. Yeah. Like, I'm like, I don't have time. Right? So. No, but I feel like the way you kind of stated it, it's like for a lot of people, I think it starts like that. Even for myself, I feel like it started like, well, for me, it was like, okay, I always knew, okay, fitness, working out helps to some degree of like helping with depression. Maybe not curing it, but helping with depression, helping lifting your mood. And then for me, it was kind of like, okay, well, I really have to fight for myself at this point. And then I just kind of started to throw myself into these changes and push myself beyond my limits. And I was like, I don't know, like if this is actually helping me or not, but I'm just going to stick with it. And then day by day, I started to notice it is having an impact on my mental being. It goes hand in hand. Yeah. Right. I think as soon as you like start working out physically, you get a lot of mental clarity.
Yeah.
You know, you get more distressed. You know, you might feel a certain level of heaviness walking into a workout, and by the time you're out of there,
Yeah.
you know, whatever that burden is, it's off your chest, it's off your shoulders. You know, physical health and mental health go hand in hand.
Yeah, they do.
You know, I think that, and that's why, like you asked me before, like, you know, was there, like, that's why I think mental health was a propelling factor, because they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Today, I know, like, every time I work out, I'm guaranteed my day is going to be a good day.
Yeah.
So I acknowledge that, you know, and I think that, you know, if you ask yourself, like, what do you think is the total number of hours you worked out in your lifetime? At the gym.
Number of hours.
Imagine being able to get that metric. Like, these are the amount of hours you worked. And then you ask yourself that if I was consistent with my diet, like, you know, like, you know, your body is, it's a machine.
Yeah.
You can do so much with it.
Yeah.
From singing to, you know, lifting things to, you know, it's like, but like it requires a commitment and dedication.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah. Even with singing, like, jumping back into it after so long, I didn't think my range from being able to go from low to high. I always thought my range was limited. You know what I mean by range, right?
No.
No. Okay. So it's kind of like the pitches.
Oh, let me guess. The pitches, like your highs
The
and
highest
your
your voice can go, the
Right.
lowest your voice can go.
Right.
And I always thought I was limited. I always felt like, you know.
How much higher did you figure out, like, that you could go?
Well, then eventually my coaches started to push me a little bit more, but they would just push me, I guess, to a point where I just kind of felt uncomfortable doing it. But they were like, no, you have a pretty good range. They're like, I don't know why you want to work on your range, because your range is great.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I was like, you know what, my range is good. Like, why am I,
Yeah.
what am I tripping out for? But and then I was like, yeah, I've trained for so many years.
Right.
That's not what I'm worried about that I need to fix or work on. It's more other techniques that I need to work on.
And I think it's also just a reminder that the biggest attribute you can bring into anything, whether it's a profession or a passion, is confidence. You need to believe in yourself. And I think oftentimes, like, and I see this with me all the time, you're your worst or your biggest self-critic.
Yeah.
You think that you're not good enough. You think that you could do better. You think, and then when people around you remind you, like, yo, dude,
Yeah.
or, you know, you're actually really good. Like,
Yeah.
you know, this is pretty good. And I think that's a big thing.
And that's the importance of just, like, you know, picking and choosing people that you want to surround yourself with or share your work with. Like, if I send you music, I'm always like, okay, I think Sunny's going to give me honest feedback.
And she does, yeah. You know, you send me music, I listen to it, I send you music, and I think it's so much like music, sharing music and being able to, first of all, I appreciate that you trust me with my taste. But like, yeah, like, I think that you got to surround yourself with good energy, supportive energy, that will propel you for that very reason. Because, you know, it takes the slightest domino effect or bump on the shoulder to bring you back down.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
We do live in a very hypersensitive society, unfortunately, and we become desensitized day in day because of all these crazy fucking events that have been happening worldwide, from like the presidential elections to this pandemic, that our mind is like on a constant go, that we don't really know how to feel sometimes. Do you feel like you empathize with your own feelings more than you empathize with the world? Where,
like, what do you mean? Like,
I feel like so much is going on in today's day and age where if something happens, it's like, oh, it's just,
like, you're kind of numb to it.
It's 2020.
Yeah, I do feel that. I feel like I was on this, like, for example, the homeless guy downstairs.
Okay, let's tell the listeners what happened. So Jazz was like, I'm on the way, and SpongeBob came along. It's like 2 hours later. Okay, no, it wasn't 2 hours. It was
a good impression.
It was 20 minutes later, and I'm wondering, I'm like, where is she? I'm like, there's no way it takes this long. And, you know, it's this pandemic at this time, Friday nights, there's been a lot of, like, you know, shady stuff, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should check up on her. But like, what happened?
Yeah, then I was like literally about to come upstairs, and I did come upstairs, but then I was on the phone while I was coming upstairs with 311 because I had found a homeless guy that was passed out.
Right.
So then I was like, okay, my conscience was eating at me, so I went back downstairs. And I was like, you know what, let me just make sure he's still okay and actually go check up on him. So then I went back downstairs, and I know there's like homeless people everywhere, and I've been numb to them for a while too, but I was like, I was like, you know what, I need to be more in tune with
Yeah.
myself and my surroundings.
Right,
So
right.
I make a more conscious effort, just be more aware and just be more human and be more kind wherever I can.
Right, right.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go downstairs, make sure this guy's okay, because if he's not, then it's gonna eat at me. So yeah, so then I went back downstairs, and then now he's walking, but now he's intoxicated.
Yeah.
So I'm on the phone with 311, and I'm like, hey, like, I don't know what this guy's situation is, but I think he's homeless. He might need some shelter for tonight. If you guys have some space for him, this is where he's located. Please check up on him because he was sleeping on the floor earlier.
So just so you know, like, and that's why, like, first of all, you should have called me. I would have came down as well to at least be there. But there's actually like a shelter not too far from here.
Oh, okay.
On the south side. It's not a shelter. It's a drop-in. I forgot what they call it. It's a drop-in center.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's like it's hidden. So I always see behind Askeith Avenue.
Okay.
So guys, I'm not going to my address, but I'm at Young Implorer. But
Yeah.
you know, if you go like towards Askeith, at nighttime, there's a lot of like intoxicated individuals and homeless people and whatnot. So I'm desensitized to that. I just walk right by them with my headphones, listen
I
to the
know.
music.
And I used to be like that too. I mean, was really.
No, but
very
I mean,
recently, yeah.
you know, to be honest with you, let's say you're in a situation where someone is actually
Yeah.
like not well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where like it's important. So happy you did. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, you can't. I feel like nowadays you can't tell if somebody's actually passed out or if something's wrong because we're so used to just seeing it.
Well, the other thing is you don't want to, because of COVID, you also
Oh,
don't
yeah.
want to touch anybody.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
I didn't
that's-
touch him. I didn't touch him.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I think that's brought an extra level of kind of, you know, security,
Yeah.
like handshakes done.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, you can't pass your phone around. Be like, hey, check this video. Yeah, all right. You can show me the video, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just like where we are today, and with the lockdowns happening again, you know, Toronto being in a red zone once again, and this possibly being extended to Christmas and
Yeah.
New Year's, it's gonna be. You know, I talked about this with Dayon. I was like, he's a friend of mine that I met before you came here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this New Year's Eve, the entire world, like New York, Toronto, people just come out for the sake of coming out to party.
Mm-hmm.
You know, have you seen like that episode of Mr. Robot where it's like people just come out because they're sick and tired of this lockdown?
Yeah.
They're like, fuck it, you know what? We're gonna come out for New Year's Eve.
I don't think people would do that though. I feel like Toronto has a lot more people that are scared of COVID. I feel like.
I think so too, and I hope so. I'm not trying to incite anything here. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
entertain the thought because.
It'd be crazy though. It'd be like Project X downtown, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, let's not be. I mean, this is a real. Like, I think my belief personally
Yeah.
is it's real. It is
Yeah.
something that, you know, that's you got to be careful, right? You never. I don't personally know, but I know people that know.
Same. I don't know personally, but I know people that.
And these are people that I know that are pretty like open with me, so I know they're not like, you know, exaggerating, but yeah, it's real. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so like, you know, now that we're going into 2021, what do you see yourself 12 months from today?
Where do I see myself 12 months from today?
Fall of next year. Not I mean, not to put it in like, you know, finite terms. It could
Yeah.
be 2 years from now. Like, where do you see yourself after the release of, let's say, your first project? What are you hoping for?
If I'm being completely vulnerable and completely honest, I would say I can't really see the future right now. But that's only because I'm still, although I'm not an MDD, I'm not in a major depressive disorder state.
Right.
But I feel like, especially during this time, the seasonal changes and everything, I do feel myself relapsing a little bit.
Right.
Just keeping it honest. So when I'm in that state, I feel like it's a little bit hard to see completely into the future. So that's why for me, I just kind of take it day by day. Like I have goals that I always work towards.
Right.
But I always just take it day by day and work towards those smaller goals. And obviously I have visions of bigger goals, but I guess the bigger goal is to possibly just have this project released. And
Did you figure out a name for the project yet? Or is it still
I feel like I would like to call it The Awakening.
The Awakening?
The
Okay.
Awakening, yeah.
I feel like you told me about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Awakening. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's, I'm excited. Like, I think that what you said there of taking your day, like taking every day by day, I hate when people think, or self-help books think, or sorry, self-help books make us think, or certain articles in Instagram make us think that when you achieve a level of positivity, that it's static. Now that you're there, you're there.
Yeah.
That's not true.
It's not.
It's never something that you achieve and you're over with. It's something that you achieve for some amount of time. If you're lucky, maybe a couple of years, it may be a couple of days, it may be a couple of minutes. It doesn't matter, because you got to enjoy that moment.
Yeah.
Because realistically speaking, like, we're just emotionally built like that we're going to have those highs and lows.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right?
It's the human experience, right?
But we're so sold this idea of happiness and that it's this pursuit of constant.
Yeah.
Where I think it's okay to go through the ups and downs if you do. Like, if you have a constant for a long period of time, that's great, good for you. But it's not the be all and end all.
Yeah.
You can be happy every single day if you live in that moment. But there's also this acceptance that there's going to be days when you're not, and that's it.
Yeah. And life is automatically going to throw curveballs at you, right?
Always.
Yeah.
Life hits you in the face, and it's like, whoa. And not just always negative news. I feel like life hits you in the face with positive news too. You know, a lot of unexpected, like, a lot of people talk about silver linings this year. Like, a lot of silver linings have happened for a lot of people, you know. Just like there's two types of energies, negative energy and positive energy. A lot of negative energy will come our way. And unfortunately, sometimes we can't always duck. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
We just got to have to, do what we do best, and that's learn from it.
Yeah.
No one else is going to, there's what might work for me is not going to work for you.
Yeah.
Right. And what works for you is not going to work for me.
Yeah.
Do you like reading? Like, do you like reading books, like self-help books or fiction, Harry Potter?
No,
How about
I feel like
Goosebumps?
I like self-help books a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I do get tired of them.
Over time, they all sound like the same message.
Right? Yeah.
But it's a good reminder, though, because sometimes our thoughts are so jumbled
Yeah.
that it's good to read those books to get a certain level of direction. Right?
Yeah. No, for sure. I know for myself, I'm always like, I always rely, I guess, on, if I'm ever like, whenever I'm going through my own phases and I feel like I need help and I need to reach out for help, I rely on therapy.
Okay.
Rather than self-help books.
Right.
So, yeah, so for me, I'm always like, and even if I don't want to rely on reaching out, you're taking ugly ass pictures of you and talking.
No, I had to take some back behind the scenes. No, but yeah, okay.
You're the worst at taking pictures.
I'm not posting it anywhere. No.
Okay, as long as they're not ugly.
No, they're pretty good. Trying to take some BTS behind the scenes. But,
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, so I was saying, okay, like when I was in my major depressive disorder state, a lot of my family wanted to help. A lot of my friends wanted to help. Like, okay, yeah, my main immediate family, for sure. I'm always around them all the time. So there were certain things that they needed to be aware of, right? But like, say friends or like family friends and things like that, like I didn't want to be around anybody. And I was like, I don't want you interfering with what I'm going through, because I need to be in the rut of it on my own. I need to go through it on my own, because a lot of the times family friends, cousins, and everybody, they were just saying the wrong things.
Right.
And it's like, I'm not expecting you to, like, because I never put whatever I'm going through, I never put it on anybody else.
Right.
I always deal with it on my own professionally.
And you can't really expect anyone else to understand, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
I've seen my fair, and you know this, I've seen my fair share of therapists. I think therapy isn't something it's not something that's a reactive means. It's not even preventative. It's necessity, because, seeing a therapist is a way for you to discover yourself sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So oftentimes we think that we need to have a problem to go see a therapist. There's this negative connotation. Oh, you see a therapist? What's wrong? And they automatically assume that something must be wrong with you.
Yeah.
But that's not the case, right?
No, it's not.
I've learned that there's benefits available from corporations and whatnot for that very reason, because we live in such a stressful life that sometimes when you get biased feedback, it's not the same as hearing it back from unbiased sources.
Yeah.
Right? Talking about relationships, family, money, you know, anything that's happening in your own life,
Yeah.
seeing a therapist is a way for you to kind of, it does wonders. And it's
Yeah.
changed my life quite a bit as well. And so I appreciate,
Yeah.
you know, and I always encourage everyone out there to like, you know, there's people out there
Yeah.
that just try it.
Yeah.
You know, just try it out and you'll be like, oh, this is actually kind of cool.
Exactly. I think the biggest problem for me was it's like, yeah, I never expected anybody to get what I was going through, but it's the fact that that's when I really realized how much ignorance and stigma was around me.
Right.
When people would say things like, oh, it's a phase you're going through. Or like, or, oh no, I don't think it's depression. I think you're just sad. Or like, oh no, I think you'll be fine. Or you know, they'll try to brush it up. And it's like, I'm not expecting you to understand this. I'm not,
You think it's a little bit more prevalent also in the South Asian community? Like
the stigma?
The stigma, like when we talk about mental health with our parents, for example, they never really grew up in a society or a world when they were younger where there was even that word mental health.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know how you would, what would
Explain
be
it
the
to them?
Punjabi equivalent of mental health, or even explain it to my parents.
Yeah.
Any parent, like, you know, particularly I think I'm only saying South Asian community because I can relate to them because I myself am South Asian. So, but it could be any other family as well that might feel the same way, that
Yeah.
it's like, how do you engage that
Yeah.
conversation? And so that's why we're struggling so much, because now in this day and age, so much is getting thrown at us left, right, center at a constant rate, because we have these phones in our hands,
Yeah.
and we're process overloading, and we just don't know how to feel about them, right?
Yeah, and even like when I've had to have those conversations with my parents, and like I didn't have the Punjabi word for saying, "Hey, mom and dad, this is what I'm dealing with." I had to say it in English, like, yeah, like this is what I'm going through. This is why I've been acting the way I'm acting.
Right.
I mean, for them, it was like, oh, she's on drugs. She's like, earlier, if I didn't explain it, their mind was like, what's going on with her, right?
Yeah. And now I see it, like I see behavior, not just in my circle, but even outside of my circle, in families and whatnot, where because I'm more like into cognitive behavioral therapy, and I've read books, and
Yeah.
I have a pretty good understanding of like how things work, or I hope I do, and I'm still learning every day, and and that's why I like to read like sociology books a lot. I think it's like, you know, human behavior today, like to describe it to our parents is very hard.
Yeah.
And like when, you know, in the next generation, we're going to have a little bit more understanding, but things are changing so quickly
Yeah.
that we may even feel like that our parents did, and may like be like so out of the loop. Right?
Yeah. No, it's true. I guess I've been kind of in a thankful position with my parents where they come around and they've tried to understand,
Yeah.
but that's because they had to see me in the rut of it.
Right. Right.
And they've had to go through some heartbreaking moments with me, you know, where I got put into situations where they didn't know if I was gonna be here the next day, right?
Yeah.
And I guess that brought us closer.
Yeah.
And if they hadn't reacted in a supportive way, maybe that would have been detrimental to my health.
Right.
So I'm thankful that they were supportive and they were open to learning.
I think that's why it's so important to, like, that's great that they were. And I think that, you know, we can have those conversations, you know, like going back to that, we can't just have an innate understanding that they know, but like we can open up to our parents and talk to them about this and at least educate them. Right. But like I'm learning every single day myself.
Yeah.
With what I'm going through and what I'm feeling. You know, mental health has become a more prevalent theme in today's day and age over the course of the last couple of years, right? Like, Bell, Let's Talk, October Mental Health Awareness Week. Yeah. Corporations have also taken a bigger initiative towards that route, right? I think, so there's an understanding out there.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to become more and more challenging as well.
Yeah.
Because things like this pandemic just add a whole lot more to that pile of other bullshit that we deal with day to day, right?
The complexity of everything.
Yeah. How has your experience been like with COVID? How have you navigated through this year? I know we talked about your musical journey.
Yeah.
But what about you as a person, like your personal growth?
Oh man, COVID was I was on a roller coaster when COVID hit, because I was still really in the depths of everything. So, I think that's when I really started to like shift completely.
Okay.
It's like I was shifting, but then I completely just started to just, you know, rip off layers of things that I didn't need anymore. And it was just like, but then everybody was kind of faced with that reality with COVID.
Right.
Where it's like, what matters the most right now, right? And I think I really turned inwards throughout this journey of COVID, and I needed that to just focus on myself. And I wouldn't call it being selfish, because it's like when you're going through stuff or dealing with mental health, it's kind of like those are the symptoms of depression, where sometimes, yeah, you do turn inwards, you isolate, or you do all that. But then, say, for example, somebody that's dealing with diabetes, cancer, or a stroke, or whatever, they don't have to feel bad for their symptoms, because they're physical symptoms.
Right.
But say if you go into that isolation, or start to shut yourself out a little bit, then people start to be like, well...
And you could get into a really dark place, right?
Yeah.
You could. And I think that a lot of people, like, I've been grateful I haven't, because... But there's people out there that may, right? And I think the big thing, this big theme when this pandemic first struck was, what's everyone doing? Like, it was like this constant, everyone has to be learning something.
Yeah.
I tried learning the keyboard.
Yeah. Did you learn?
No.
You learn stuff?
Last like 2 weeks. But like, I played still Dre, but like, you know, like everyone's in this constant thing of, okay, we should do this. We have an abundance of time. But I think that, you know, this disconnection with everybody has connected us more with ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's made our circle a little bit more tighter.
Yeah.
I think everyone can agree that they don't really interact, and so obviously for obvious reasons they don't socialize and interact with as many people.
Yeah.
But it's now come down to more of the people that are so important to your, you know, your energy.
Yeah.
You know, to the core of who you are, right? And if you want to see them, it doesn't mean that you can physically go see them. You can even go virtually. You know, so it's brought people together in a way that we didn't really imagine.
Yeah.
Right? For such an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Like back in March, I would never have thought that, you know, we're going into winter now.
Yeah.
With the same condition that we're in today. Right?
Exactly. Right.
And,
yeah.
And it doesn't seem like it's getting better.
That.
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
So now it's getting you to think, like, could this be a 2-year thing? Could
Possibly.
me and you be having this conversation next Christmas and being like, yeah, we're still in lockdown. Like, it's scary, right?
Yeah. I think that's a like possibility. You know what?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad. Like, I still enjoy my life, like in my 20s, my university. But like, imagine people that are in school.
Yeah.
You
There's
know,
so
one
many
of the
people
most,
that didn't get to go to prom. Or
yeah, like no prom.
Their graduation.
University. That one frosh week, like.
Oh yeah, frosh week.
Yeah. I think even like so what do you think about the post-COVID world? How do you think we're gonna come out of this?
I don't think the economy can handle a full-on shutdown again.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll maybe go into full shutdown, but I think this is going to be the new way of living, like with the masks and the restrictions.
Dougie was saying today that they may shut it down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they might go into lockdown.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He says a lot of things. So.
He does. I mean, I'm kind of annoyed. Like Patrick from Regulars, a bunch of the guys from the hospitality industry are kind of really pissed because I think if there's any industry out there that's taken measures to make sure that they're COVID friendly, a lot of restaurants have done a phenomenal job. You know, putting up, you know, cleaning every table, wiping every table, contact tracing, putting up the necessary precautions and whatnot. Yeah. Versus going to like a mall where you get different article of clothing and you touch everything, walking through the mall where thousands of people come through, or grocery stores where people touch something and put it back.
There's a lot of cross-contamination.
There's cross-contamination. But there's no like, it's like the small businesses are the ones that are getting, you know, kind of put up on the stake. Yeah. Right? And it's like, it's unfortunate because a lot of them are unfortunately going to not come out of this. Yeah. You know, they're not going to be able to pay their rent. I feel for them. But I think that if the government, if it's that big of an issue and concern, they need to do like a complete shutdown.
It'd be interesting if they shut down all the major corporations and they let the small businesses stay open and let them make the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. You should run for mayor.
I should, right?
No, or like even like if they tell everybody, okay, you know what, everything's shut down. Yeah. That would be a whole lot of anxiety and stress. Yeah. Like if tomorrow, like if they were to say, okay, guys, nothing is open. You have 5 business days to get whatever you need. And once you're in, you're in. Anybody outside will get ticketed.
It's going to kind of be like the apocalypse then, I feel like.
Yeah. And more, like I don't, like not, I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping for the positivity, like positive outcome out of this. But like
Yeah.
after the NBA getting canceled, man,
Yeah.
I'm like, anything's fucking possible.
Yeah. I
But,
know. I mean,
like-
even the whole world being shut down, like we never even thought like a pandemic, like a virus had the potential to do that. I don't think this happened with the Spanish flu, like to this extent.
No,
Right?
I mean, the Spanish flu was pretty big. The 1918 Spanish flu was pretty big. I think it wiped 2/3 of Europe.
Yeah.
It was pretty massive, but
But they didn't control it to this capacity, right?
they weren't able to control it exactly.
Yeah.
This is the magnitude of this happening globally is way through, way through the charts. But
Mm-hmm.
I think, what interesting factors are like, it's like I still don't really understand what the symptoms of this flu are and what the outcome is.
Yeah.
Like, how is this any different from?
Have you gotten tested?
I've gotten
Ever?
tested 3 times.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, no, wait, twice.
Yeah, I got tested too because a few times I thought I was like, maybe, like, am I okay?
Well, this is flu season too, right?
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see if I don't think these testings can differentiate between
The flu?
the regular flu and the COVID flu. And I'm not a doctor, guys, so
Yeah.
please do not take this for a fact. I'm just assuming that, like it could be.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
No, but I think that's why they cancel out if you have COVID or the flu. So maybe, I mean, all my tests were negative though, so nothing came back positive.
Yeah.
So I knew I had the flu.
yeah.
I guess that's how I knew I had the flu because it was negative. But I don't know.
But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think, I don't know. I read something about how, vaccines out there, it's been tested 90% pass rate, but it's going to be now whether it's mandatory,
Yeah.
whether it's voluntary. If it's voluntary, then when it comes to establishments, do they need to have a record of a negative result, or do they need to have like some sort of passport showing that they got the vaccine?
Oh.
Because even if the vaccine becomes available, there is going to be a proportion of the population that are not going to be like, we don't want the vaccine.
Yeah,
So then what? Do you let them at the concerts? Do you let them at the restaurants?
it's true.
It's a fucked up
And
world.
you can't force people to get the vaccine, right?
You can't. I mean, they can.
Yeah.
There's all these conspiracy theories, and I really don't want to entertain them right now, but
Yeah.
they can. But let's see what happens. So music-wise, going back to that, where can everybody, like, what's your journey? This is the first time you've introduced yourself to the world,
This is the first
right?
time I've introduced
And I
myself,
promise you, this is going to be like, he's going to, your music, I can't wait for people to listen to it. It's going to be
Yeah.
through the, off the charts.
If it's not good, it's because Sunny's amping me, okay?
No, it's pretty good. It's really good, actually. I can't wait. Can I play some music or no?
You can play, what do you mean, my music?
Yeah.
No, I don't think we can play that.
Okay. I tried, guys. I tried. Any shout outs, anybody?
Man, shout outs to Sunny. Shout outs to, I guess I'm just thankful. Like I said, thankful
Yeah.
for all the brand new people, all the people that have, I guess, walked into my life for the time that I decided to stay and fight.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for all those energies. I'm thankful for you. And I'm just
Thankful for you
appreciative.
too, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just appreciative for, in any way, anybody out there, anybody listening, whoever's like supported me in any way, I'm thankful for it.
Yeah.
Not just for the music, it's just, just like support as just me as an individual as well.
No, first of all, I feel the same way. We connected, we had a good vibe, and, our friendship started from, that protest. And
Yeah.
I think it's really important to, again, support each other however capacity we can.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to be grateful too of the people around us and the support that we have, right? So
Yeah.
I hear you on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So shout out to everybody that's been supporting Jazé.
Yes.
What do you think, like, where can everybody find you?
Right now, I guess Instagram.
Okay.
Instagram, I'm sure you'll attach everything.
Yeah, of course. I'll tag you, and then whatnot. And music wise, of course, can't wait for something to be released soon.
Yeah.
But it's a journey at the end of the day. I think that's where, this is your first step in communicating, the journey that you're on.
Yeah.
But it people want to see that journey.
Yeah.
And I think this is podcasting as a platform, Instagram as a platform.
Mhm.
We have so many ways to share what we're doing and how we live.
Yeah.
And for some people that might not mean anything,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a proportion of people out there that'll be like, it'll mean something,
Yeah.
because it'll resonate, whether it's that song that resonates with them, whether it's a quote, whether it's a tweet, whether it's a conversation. You never know how you can impact someone's life.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's kind of like we had this conversation a while ago, but it's like we're kind of archiving everything that we put out there. It's always going to be out there. Like this conversation
Yeah, like
will probably be out there.
that's why I love
years from now.
podcasting, because I'm like, knock on wood, if something happens to me tomorrow, let's say, and I pass away,
Yeah.
it's like people in my life have the opportunity to go back and listen to these conversations.
Yeah.
The similar concept can be applied to a book.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of preach this in every circle of my friends, that you want to do something in life that leaves behind a legacy.
Yeah.
Music being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to leave your music, because music is eternal. Books are eternal.
Yeah.
I think everyone needs to push that creative side, one way or the other,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah. Everybody's on their journey to figure out, their own little path.
and that's it. That's all we are. Like I think you said it well. We are a dance of fragile people.
Yeah, it's a fragile dance between
A fragile.
being beautifully flawed and pushing for yourself.
Yeah, and then I think that's when you have that appreciation that this is who I am today,
Mm-hmm.
and just embrace it with enthusiasm.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's gonna push you back.
Yeah, you really just have to drown out the noise at the end of the day. Focus on you and not let don't compare yourself to other people, and not let that take away from your moment and your present time.
Yeah. People don't understand that. When you reach a level, confidence isn't like it's not a state of mind. It's a state of art. It's a state of doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's sometimes you have to throw out a canvas and pick up another canvas and start fresh.
Yeah.
On the days that you're not feeling confident, you got to understand your triggers.
How do you
Understand.
define confidence? To maybe close everything, how do you define confidence?
Well, now I'm being put on the spot. I think confidence is.
I'm actually interested to know.
Confidence for me, I think, and generally speaking, confidence is when you look at yourself as being whole.
Mm-hmm.
You look at yourself with no gap. You look at yourself with no deficiency. You look at yourself at being at peace. Confidence is where nothing in the outside world, outside of your control, your body is going to make you feel any less, because you already feel so great.
Yeah.
And I think that level of confidence comes from a level of acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
When you truly accept who you are, instead of being distracted of who you want to become because of so-and-so or so-and-so and whatever you saw online, instead of chasing that and actually putting your effort and accepting who you are, when you accept who you are, you'll actually be confident with who you are, and then you'll slowly work on those things where you lack.
Yeah.
But you still appreciate who you are. This is who I am at my core.
Yeah.
So you can still get your fitness goals, still get your creative goals, still get your money,
Yeah.
and secure your bag. But you really need to accept who you are as a person. And I think that's what confidence is.
Yeah. I see it in the same way, where it's for me, I would just word it as you're.
So I'm sorry, that was a really long-winded answer.
No, that was a really good answer.
Shout out to Lustrada.
I think, for me, I see it as it's you're unapologetically vulnerable.
Yeah.
And you're unapologetically human in that sense, where you're owning every parts of yourself. And like you said, there's no deficiency. It is what it is. My walk of life is what's brought me to this point, and it's okay.
Yeah.
The ups and downs, the highs, the lows, everything I am, the way I interact with people on a day-to-day basis. It's an experience of my walk of life, and I'm going to be proud of that.
Yeah. I think that's so true. I think that there's simplicity and complexity, because acceptance doesn't mean that you are static, right? You want to keep growing. And I think Kobe with the Mamba mentality is the biggest example, where every day you want to be better than the version of you yesterday.
Yeah.
Right. So that doesn't mean you accept yourself, but you also acknowledge those deficiencies, and you acknowledge that you don't want to get too arrogant. That's where you define the line between confidence and arrogance, because you still have a responsibility to yourself, and that's leveling up.
Yeah.
That's growing. And and I guarantee you, if you're at a place right now where you feel like you don't need to level up, then I don't think you're doing justice, because the whole point of living life, the fun of this all is leveling up.
Yeah.
When you fucking fall on your face and you get back up, and that journey might feel like shit in the moment, but when you reach the end, the destination, it feels great.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of people out there that I've come across that don't feel like they need to level up, or don't. And it's sometimes you look at them, you're like, well, how do you live your life like that?
Yeah.
But like we said last time, kudos to them.
Yeah, I think, you know what, like, you're right. I think there is a society out there that and I think it's more of an individual personality trait.
Yeah.
I want to always be leveling up.
Yeah.
I think that I get it. I get anxious if I don't level up.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's where, you know, I said this on my last episode, where we're at like a level of emotional maturity and intellect where we truly understand, you know, well, we not understand, where we want to control and do better at how the outside world impacts the way we feel and think.
Yeah.
And we want to conserve one thing, and that is peace, your
Yeah.
inner peace. Anybody fucks with your energy, you'd be like, all right, peace out.
Yeah.
And I think we live that, like, because your tolerance level, like,
Yeah.
are you tolerant?
Into like tolerating
Yeah,
that
like
kind of energy.
if anybody like messes up with your energy, what do you do?
I think I am pretty tolerant of it. I'm a pretty patient person. I'm
Yeah.
pretty patient and pretty gentle until you like keep pushing me. And then I'm not gentle anymore. But I think I've come to a place where I'm just like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like, who the fuck are you? Like to mess with my energy like that.
Right.
Not in an arrogant way, but it's like for me to be on the path that I'm on.
Yeah.
You have something to say, like, it doesn't really bother me at the end of the day. Like, maybe it might, but it's like I'm able to shrug it off much more faster than I was before.
Right. And that's why I think, like, I've learned as well, as like, I'm like that too. Like, I'm a giver. Like, I try to be there as much as I can for everybody in my life that needs it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm also very vocal. If I don't want to vibe with the energy, I don't say anything. I just don't say nothing.
Right?
Like, I'm just there, you know. And I think that because a reaction is also, any sort of reaction is also a form of energy, right?
Yeah. I'll just remove myself from a situation.
Yeah,
most of
just
the
remove
time.
yourself, and just, that's it at the end of the day. Like, I think, that's really what it is.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't mean to sound like, oh, I'm better than anybody. No, I don't think of
Wait,
life
I
like
thought we
that
were
at
talking
all.
about that. I'm better than everybody. No, I'm kidding.
I don't mean it
Yeah.
to come across like that, but
No.
I feel like to just like, I guess, to protect my own peace, it's kind of just like, well, yeah, that's just your state of mind and that's your perspective and it's great, but I'm vibing at a different frequency than you are, and that's
Right.
fine.
You know, you gotta, if you're gonna conserve your energy, you also have to have a level of empathy.
Yeah.
There has to be a balance between the two, because, you know, you might be at a place in your mind today that someone may not be, and you gotta remind yourself that that was you once upon a time.
Yeah.
Also, gotta remind yourself that that may be you again,
Yeah.
because, you know, what goes up always comes down.
Yeah.
For the most part. There's
Yeah.
always exceptions, but that's, you know, that's on a positive note. This has been a hell of a 2-hour podcast.
Yeah. You're gonna have a lot of editing to do.
I like Maybe busy this weekend, but no, it's fine. I am gonna release the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having
This is,
me.
you know, I feel like we still there's so much more we could talk about, but that's what podcasts are for, you know.
Yeah.
Come back again in the studio.
Yeah.
I wanna see where you are with your project.
I'm looking forward to
in the coming months, and of
sharing it,
course
yeah.
sharing it to my platform. All my
Yeah.
listeners, make sure you check out, I'm going to attach her IG handle. Make sure to follow her, Jazé, and I can't wait for you guys to tune into her music. But yeah,
Good
Any-
conversation today.
any last words?
Man, just bet on yourself, guys. If you're doubting yourself, bet on yourself.
There you go. You heard it from the one and only. Bet on yourself. Just take your shot.
Yeah.
You never know. You know, you might be missing for, 10 shots in a row, but it might be 11 shot that you make, right? So,
Yeah.
on that note, guys, hope you guys had a good long weekend. Or sorry, not long weekend.
Not long weekend.
Good weekend. This episode is probably going to release on Monday morning.
Okay.
So on that note, peace.